you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think as we normally do, let's go around the room and we'll take the roll call. And why don't we start going that way this time? Yeah, you're up. I don't know. There we go.
Good morning. My name is Cookie Kennedy. I'm the mayor of the city of Indian Rocks Beach. And I am also this year the chair of the Ford Pinellas, which the cool thing about that is that we haven't had one of our beach mayors be the chair of Ford Pinellas in over 20 years, which the last one was my mentor and Mayor Bob DiNicola. So it's kind of cool for us.
Morning, everyone. Pat Serrano, Mayor, Indian Shores.
Good morning, Dave Gaddis, Vice Mayor of Bel Air Beach.
Good morning, Hoyt Hamilton, Vice Mayor, City of Clearwater.
Bill Queen, Mayor of North Reading Beach.
Eric, you're next.
Morning, Eric Lynn, native of St. Petersburg and candidate for Congress here in Pinellas County for the seat that Charlie Crist is vacating. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Michael Robinson, Vice Mayor, Reddington Shores.
And Mike Action, Vice Mayor of
Somebody next. Come on, let's speak up for the clerk so that we can get your name.
Kevin Underwood, Duke Energy.
Wow.
Lindsay Flynn, Clearwater Marine Corps.
Paul Jacobs, Clearwater Marine. Sullivan, Bullseye Graphics.
Mark Lucci, Clerk Treasurer, Bel Air Park.
Clint Dahl, Fire Chief, City of Deer Beach. John Morlight, Deputy Chief, Nelson Hills Park. Jeffrey Davidson, Fire Chief, Pinellas.
Andrew Neville, Forward Pinellas. Rita Bishop, Executive Assistant, Sbdc. Don Peters, candidate for Pinellas High School Board and Reddington Beach resident.
Rich Carriello, Commissioner, Reddington Beach.
Sam Jenkins, SBC's Institute for Strategic Policy.
David Taglerini, candidate for Madeira Beach, District 1.
We got a couple people sitting in the back. Oh, we missed you. I'm sorry. Okay.
Good morning, Robin Gomez, City of Madeira Beach, City Manager. Welcome to our lovely city.
Megan Powers, Executive Assistant to the City Manager, Madeira Beach.
Back to me. Okay.
Yes.
Good morning. Happy Price, Vice Mayor for Madeira Beach.
David Will, Mayor, Reddington Beach.
Tyler Payne, Mayor of Treasure Island.
Mary Beth Henderson, Mayor, Reddington Shores.
Al Johnson, Mayor, St. Pete Beach. Robin, I want to thank you for being here in John's absence. I hear he's out playing around someplace. But anyway, changes to the agenda and approval. I believe, Mayor Will, you had something we wanted to add?
Yes, everybody received a letter the other day regarding the erosion of home rule. So I thought, I was hoping we could discuss it and then possibly all sign it and send it to our local representatives.
I think you want to, should we add that into?
Yes, I would move that we add that to the agenda.
Okay, let's add it in the discussion items. We'll start there. Okay.
Beautiful, thank you.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, the minutes of the January. Anybody got any comments on that or move to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence. I don't believe we had any.
Treasurer's
Oh,
report.
Treasurer's
no, we
report.
haven't got to the treasure. No, we haven't. Okay, we missed it. Oh, and the treasurer report. Good. Okay. Treasurer?
Yes, our opening balance as of January 1st, 2022 was $845.34. There were no disbursements. So we ended the balance at January 31st, 2022 with $845.34.
Move to
Thank you.
approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, on to no correspondence, new business. I understand Duke Energy, are they prepared with their presentation? You ready to go or? Oh, okay, please proceed.
Good morning, city staff, members of the community, and to our mayors. My name is Chiquita Clark, and I'll be serving as point of contact for the Barrier Islands. Jeff Baker, who you've worked with in the past, has officially passed the baton. We work fairly closely together, so if you need any additional help, he's still around. My colleagues and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share information about our grid improvement projects. Our goal with our projects is to strengthen our grid and reliability, as well as transform our resiliency and overall improve the customer experience. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the floor to our Senior Director of Project Management, Mr. Kevin Underwood. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Chiquita, and good morning to each and every one of you all. And thank you for allowing me to be here representing Duke Energy this morning. I was selected in November to be the Director of Project Management for Florida. My mentor and predecessor retired and is enjoying life here in the beach area. So now as a constituent. I'm honored and humbled. I know none of you, I should say as a prior Navy myself, I know that service isn't for financial gain. So I'm honored and humbled again to be here before you and to work with you as we improve your communities. So talking about what we're doing, I'm going to jump right into what we are doing. And really, when I think about our customers, what do they expect? They expect that our power remain on, and they expect that if it goes out, that we're able to get it back on quickly. But again, really, they don't want it to go out. So what we're focused on is really our preventive. It's that grid strengthening. And this involves our lateral hardening, what we call our lateral hardening overhead, which is strengthening our poles. When you look at our poles today, a lot of them are 45 feet high, 50 feet high. Our wire is a smaller size. What we're doing is we're strengthening the grid. We're putting in bigger poles. We're putting in bigger wire, what we call in the technical term, the 336 to 795, lots of good terms. But it means that the idea is when the winds come through, it should be able to better withstand those storms. But that's only part of it. The other thing we're doing is we looked at all the data and we said, where are our outages coming from? Are our outages on our backlot lines? You think about your homes and those lines that are running through the back and how hard it is to get to those, to fix those. What if we put some of those underground? So we looked at the data and we said, what is the highest percentage of our outages? And then we looked at that and we said, let's put some of that underground. Then we said those that it doesn't make sense to go underground for, again, we're hardening that. But that's the preventive piece. Let's also talk about that reactive piece, because we do know that there will be outages. There's nothing that we can do that says 100% of the time we're going to keep your power on. So there's a number of things we can do. And you hear a lot of, and have heard about what's called automation, our self-healing technology. What that means is installing basically widgets on the grid that will reroute the power. It allows us that if there's a car hit pole, if there's an outage due to a wind event, we're able to reconfigure the grid through the use of these automated devices to reroute the power. Now, we've always had the ability to reroute the power, but how did we do it? We had to send a truck out. We had to find the fault. We had to have them go out. We had to then do manual switching. Now, through our automated systems, it can be done in under a minute. You get a blink of a light rather than an extended outage. But that's on what you call your feeders. That's on your backbone. What about your homes? How does that work? Well, now we're putting automation where you would normally see a fuse. You're seeing also automation there to, again, allow for that blinking of lights rather than the permanent outage. Now, we don't want blinking. We don't want any of it. We want to strengthen the grid so we don't have any of it, but we want to be prepared to restore that power that much quicker. So this year we've embarked to upgrade a number of our substations, which really starts from where the power comes from our transmission lines going out to each of your homes. There was a bill passed in 2019 by the legislator that encouraged us after Michael and Irma to be able to do this sort of investment. And so the one that we're focused on in this area is the Pasadena substation and the Oakhurst substation. When you look at the Pasadena substation, it serves about 18,000 customers. We're going to be strengthening feeder lines along nearly along the 9 feeders. I'm going to give you a highlight. I'm not going to show you every feeder this morning because I'm told I have an ability to talk probably way too long, but I don't want to keep you here all morning. So I'm going to give you some select feeders and give you some highlights on what we're doing there. But you can see, I talked about that self-healing technology. So 18 miles of those grid automated devices. We're going to upgrade nearly 200 transformers, bigger transformers, more than 100 fuses. You heard me talk about those fuses. And then we're going to also replace almost 2,000 feet of underground cable. You heard me talk about those poles. So more than 100 poles to better withstand that wind, and almost 5 miles of overhead electrical lines underground. Now, the key for us as we go through this, and we're continuing to learn, this is a new, very big project for Duke Energy. One of the things that we have identified is our partnership with the communities is so key that the earlier we can engage with each and every one of you to review what projects we're working on. Because you all have projects, whether it's sewer, whether it's water, whether it's Frontier, whether it's Spectrum, you all have projects. For us to come in and say, we're going to go harden this or put this underground or leave these stub poles, what we call stub poles and joint use transfers, and you all go, Frontier just came through here. Why didn't you all work together? Or we're about to go underground. Why didn't you go underground with us? That partnership is key. We haven't always done that as well as we should because this is new. We're all learning, but we recognize the importance of that. And we're looking forward to being those partners with you as we go forward on this. I'm going to bring up next a look at our feeders. This is your electrical grid. This is what feeds each and every one of your homes. And you can see those numbers on the sides there. So I'm going to go through on this slide each of those feeders. I'm going to start and then I'll bring up some individual ones specifically. But you can see X211. The X211 is kind of that gray area there right along the St. Pete Beach. It runs along the Treasure Island Causeway, Central Avenue, down to Sunset Beach and Paradise Island there. And really what we're focused on there is our transformer replacements, our fuse replacements, and our lateral underground hardening. Again, taking that underground and moving it underground. When I get to 212, and when I look at 212, again, that is going to be really starting up in the Pasadena area and then coming down to the beaches again. You can see that it goes by Tyrone Boulevard, 9th Avenue North, 66th Street. And again, we're going to do the pole replacements, those transformer replacements, those fuse replacements. When I get to 213, we're looking really at the, again, at the Pasadena on the Gulf. We're looking at South Pasadena, St. Pete Beach, and then just across from Sunset Beach. And again, same thing, transformer replacements, fuse replacements, and overhead lateral hardening, as well as some lateral hardening underground. And I'm going to actually go to X213 here. You can see where we're going to be doing that work. You can see the overhead, the undergrounding there. And I'm going to go to the next slide. You can see again some more lateral hardening underground. There's going to be in 2 phases starting at about the same time. Of course, the first question y'all are going to ask me when you see this is, when are you starting? When are you going to come impact my neighborhood? Right now, we're finalizing those schedules. I'm going to talk a little bit in a moment about what to expect when we do finalize those schedules in terms of how we communicate. But wanted you to be able to see very specifically that 213 as I come back to the bigger picture here. 214, which is your, make sure I get the right colors there. It's your blue lines. That's really coming again through Pasadena, South Pasadena, going down to South Shore Drive and over through Blind Pass Road and Boca Ciega Drive. So that's kind of the blue that comes down there. And again, this one, we're going to do pole replacement, transformer replacements, and fuse replacements. When I get to 215, 215 is going across Central Avenue, which I was fortunate enough to drive this morning through the Treasure Island Causeway there and up onto the, you can see kind of the purple up there. This is primarily going to be our self-healing technology on this one and our fuse replacements. That's really what we're focused on 215. When I get to that 216, really focus there on the what I would call near Admiral Farragut. One of my friends teaches there, so always excited to see Admiral Farragut there. And you can see that X216, again, our big three, our pole replacement, our fuse replacement, and our transformer replacement. As I get to 217, just about there, I passed by 214 briefly, wanted to bring that one up in a little bit more detail. Just talked about that. When I get to 217, I'll come back and then go back to that one. So 217 is our South Causeway aisles there. Yacht Club Estate, so pole replacement, transformer replacement, and fuse replacements. When I get to the 219, you can see here, this is really where we're looking at St. Pete Beach. I had a chance to talk to Mayor Johnson last night and his teammates and talk a little bit more in detail about that. You can again see the phases. The phases just means in terms of how we're splitting up the work, but ideally we'll still start both at right around that same time. What I would like to talk about again here is we talked about that joint use and was really a good subject last night, which is, hey, if you're going to take your wires off, what about the rest of them? How do we force them? I think it is probably the polite term to go with us. What mechanism do we have to encourage? And always a subject of conversation because let's face it, aesthetically, residents don't want a pole that says, hey, we've come through, we've put you underground, we put a transformer in your front yard. Now I still have the pole. What are y'all doing about that? We need to be cohesive in our communications. As I get down here, 220 is my last one that covers through South Pasadena. And again, transformer replacements, fuse replacement, and lateral hardening overheads. So I'll take a moment to see what questions you may have before I talk a little bit more about what to expect in our communications processes.
Speaking to the communications processes, with the first I heard about this was when a neighbor of mine, one of my constituents, called me and says, "Are you guys undergrounding in my neighborhood?" And I says, "No."
Oh.
I talked to my city manager and he says, "No." So long story short was that people were going and asking the residents for easements that, first of all, they didn't need. And I want to encourage you to make your first stop the local municipality before you talk to anybody, do anything. Because they were trying to get easements from people where to put it outside the right of way of their yards, they'd have a transformer box sitting on their front step.
Sir.
And because our easement covered right to the side of the curb. So please make sure you do that. And I guess I'd like to put the coordination responsibility for the people that co-use your poles to, you got to talk to the people that are up there, whether it's telephone, I don't know what it is up there, but I know we've been seeing a lot of work from the guys at the Spectrum and from Frontier. And they do a lot of the directional boring such as you folks do. And if we can put those underground at the same time and eliminate the poles, that's very beneficial. One other thing I'd like to ask, is it possible that if you're going to underground part of those, and I know I've got some sections where the neighborhoods, part of it's underground, part of it's not, that we might be able to identify that area. And we've talked about undergrounding neighborhoods and getting people to sign up for, putting it on their tax bill for the next 5 years or whatever. So we'd like to work on that as well.
Yes, sir. And your team has been Department of Public Works manager and city manager for St. Pete Beach have reached out to us. We're actually walking some of that here in the next couple of days to really see where we can do some things. There is obviously, like you noted, the cost differential in terms of how much is spent, but we do think we have an opportunity. And to your point, partnering with the city and partnering with our communities first is going to be critical to this success, because we do have websites out there, we do have communications, but first stop is usually to City Hall and from our residents. And if y'all can't help answer that questions, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So we want to be really good partners with y'all and make sure that you're aware of what's going on. And one of the reasons we're excited to be here today, like you said, like to have done it a little bit more in advance, and now looking forward to doing that going forward, sir.
Like I said, it's first stop is City Hall.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir.
Any comments on commission? Questions? Okay, go ahead.
What to expect? So you are going to see it's construction. So there's obviously some road closures. There's some things that Aesthetics wise, will be a little different. So you can see some larger transformers. These are the, you heard Mayor Johnson talking about, hey, you're going to put this box in their, in the front yard by their step, trying to get an easement. And that's your, what we call our pad mount transformer. You do have your boring equipment for your underground bore, and of course, our regular Duke Energy trucks. So these are some of what you can expect, not everything you will see, especially as we start talking about some of our automation equipment. But these are the highlights of if you see some of this, what you can expect. Talking about that communication process, as the mayor said, of course, starting with City Hall, but we will also send out postcards with projected web page, with the project web page that introduces benefiting the customers to our projects. We then mail a more detailed postcard. And that's specifically for our underground customers with contacts to schedule appointments for those easement acquisitions. And then we inform and support. So that web page is updated with details and schedules. And then we have postcards, outbound calls, and our texts for construction starts. And finally, we do come back. We like to say, ask our customers for feedback and evaluation for that continual improvement. So we'll be continuing to do that. When I look at who our point of contact is, it's Libby Hochter, who is our Pasadena substation. She was unable to be here this morning, but she is our senior public engagement manager. She is your single point of contact. Any single person can call her or Chiquita and be able to get the right people to answer the questions. And you can see Chiquita's number there, 321-246-1681, very responsive. You can see the list of things, that we can call her for, whether it's property damage, upset customers, concerns. Libby loves talking to people, very smart, and wants to do right by the customer and by our communities. With that, I'll stop for any other questions or answers.
Can you, do you have an update where you're at as far as the undergrounding between Indian Rocks Beach?
So as I understand it, and I'm going to look to my peer, Indian Rocks Beach is Indian Rocks Beach all underground at this point? Or are we
No, it
still-
is not.
It is
No.
not. Let me get an Indian Shore thing. Let me get an answer for you, ma'am. I'll have an answer for you later today and email that back out to you, ma'am, or call you and answer.
And the other thing is we are also interested in our neighborhoods.
Okay.
And if you could, get in touch with either me or our city manager, Greg Mims.
Certainly. Look forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. This has come up a couple of times. We're spending an awful lot of money collectively underground, all of the beach towns. And if those feeder lines coming in, okay, we talked about this for the last couple of years. If those feeder lines go down, all of that work we've done for undergrounding basically is for naught. Can you give us an update as to where you are with that hardening aspect of the technology to get that right?
And so let me make sure I understand the question. So we're saying if that undergrounding fails, then there's really no way for it, right?
No, what are you doing to harden the feeder lines that come to the beach?
So we are putting that in conduit. So that is something that helps. We are using, based on the engineering standards, different sizes based on the expected load and based on the equipment that we find or based on the soil conditions. So really just following best practices and standards in accordance with national standards. I would have to go back and see if we're doing anything different, but those are really what our focus would be is we have a standards department that's constantly reviewing all the standards, including undergrounding. They look at reliability. They look at really just best practices with our peers. So they talk to them for benchmarking and try to make sure that we're following those best practices, sir. Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, please. We want to be able to hear this. Thank you.
First off, this project that Kevin presented, this is a 10-year project. We're just now starting it. This is the Pasadena sub. Our next sub that we will move to will be Oakhurst sub, which serves North Treasure Island, Madeira Beach. And so we will be moving up. So we will, like I said, over the next 10 years, we will be basically hardening the entire system. So that could include, just as he was saying, some of it will be lateral hardening, which will be stronger poles, stronger wires. Some will be underground. It's all based on the 10-year historical reliability data that we have for each area. So, the fact that we're focusing this morning on Treasure Island and St. Pete Beach, it doesn't mean we don't love Hoyt. We're coming to you. We're coming to everyone along the beach. It's just going to, it's going to take, obviously this is a significant project because we're doing this across the entire system. So it's going to be about a 10-year project, but all of our system will be hardened over the next 10 years.
Yeah, one of the things that we all deal with is, especially in Indian Shores where we've been underground for 15 years, is why do the lights go out? We spend all of this money on undergrounding and the lights are going out. So what is that all about? And I understand what you're talking about. So you're talking about a 10-year cycle to basically get to some kind of optimum point with respect to the hardening of the access lines to the beaches. That's your time frame.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where even we've had this conversation before with some of you. It's one of those things where no matter what you do, keep in mind, in a significant storm event, if a sub, I'll use, we'll go back since we've been looking at this map. If that Pasadena sub is damaged or destroyed during a storm, no matter where the lines are in the air, below ground, whatever, until we can repair that substation, that, anything that is served by that substation is going to be out. The positive thing is, Kevin was talking about all this smart grid technology. We now have the ability to reroute power today far better than what we did, even 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's one of those things where the grid improvements that we're making, just to put things in perspective, over the next 10, our capital spending plan for the state of Florida is $6.5 billion with a B. And so it's one of those things, we will make more, and it's not just Duke Energy, it's the industry itself. We will make more changes in the next 10 years than we have in the last 100 years. And so it's one of those things where, like I said, we're focused today on this because obviously we've talked with Mayor Payne, we talked with Mayor Johnson, and again, this was our first project, and the first knock we should have made is to City Hall, and that's one of the reasons why we're here today, to make sure as we move into your areas, Chiquita will be coming to talk to you to see if there are opportunities, for us to partner on things. Obviously, we're a regulated utility. There's only certain things that, for us to underground something, it has to meet a reliability criteria. But if we're going to be in there doing that work and you've got some money in your budget that would cover additional streets or something like that, then that's where we need to be talking. And so that's what, our commitment to you is this morning, is that we will be having these conversations. So it's not a surprise to you as it was a surprise to Mayor Johnson. So.
Anything else, Pat?
Yeah, I have a question. Obviously, Gulf Boulevard is going to be beautiful by the time everything is completed. But we have neighborhoods all up and down the beach that still have overhead lines. It's cost. Cost is the biggest problem. People don't want to pay for 20 years on something that they don't see as a problem. Do you think that eventually Duke is going to get better at offering incentives to make it more affordable for your customers?
I'm going to defer to our government and community relations manager on that one, sir.
Well, this is only the second, before 2017, the utilities in Florida, we had to build to the least cost method. And in other words, in 99% of the time, least cost method was above ground. In 2017, we were allotted some money and we did what was called a targeted undergrounding program, which we did hit many of your communities with that. That is where we took the, all the data that suggested where was our least reliable customers. And so we went and did some underground. It was the first time the utilities were allowed to pay for undergrounding because that's not the least cost method. But in those situations, it was very targeted. It may have been a street with 8 homes. It may have been, so we went in and undergrounded those 8 homes. But we're not, so fast forward to the 2019 Storm Protection Plan legislation that was passed. It gave the utilities, again, it's still all reliability based. We cannot pick and choose which neighborhoods we do this work with. And we have to work in the order of the least reliable first. And so it's one of those things where under that plan, there was a funding mechanism in place for us to do undergrounding at our cost. Going back to one of those slides that was up there, in fact, if we can,
So we're like,
the one that's St. Pete Beach where there's all the yellow on there. That one right there. If you notice where all that yellow is, that yellow on there, that is where Duke Energy and really our customers are paying for us to underground that. So in this particular case, and this is what, Mayor Johnson and his team was talking about, you've got those streets just to the north of that. The city actually has some, funding available that at least we should be sitting down having the conversation to say, hey, Duke, through our regulatory process, we cannot pay for this. I mean, it's one of those things, in order for Duke to pay for it, it has to meet that reliability criteria. But if the city has some funds, and the flip side is we're going to go in there and we're going to harden that system anyway, where it's the blue. So let's just, and I'm just using round numbers for simplicity's sakes, but let's say that to do that blue portion of that phase 2 is going to cost us $1 million. But if we do an estimate and determine that it's going to cost $2 million to underground it, we can work with the city and say, hey, we're going to have to spend $1 million anyway, and we're willing to apply that credit to the city. So the city can get basically $2 million worth of undergrounding for $1 million. So that's why, we certainly, why we're here today is so all of know this is coming. So when we do come to your areas that we can sit down, have those conversations, and it may be a situation where you say, hey, the city right now, we don't have the ability to do that. That doesn't mean we're not going to go ahead and continue to improve the reliability for your residents. It just means, that we won't do anything that we're not regulatory allowed to do. So.
Thank you very much. I think one of the things we're fighting is that the residents out there think that undergrounding will keep the lights on regardless, and that's not true. And the other is that once you harden overhead wires and put new transformers in smart technology, the lights go out, they're still going to think you screwed up somewhere. The way I look at it is that it's all about numbers. When the lights do go out, you guys are tasked with putting as many people as possible back online as soon as possible. The example you mentioned about the Pasadena substation, if we undergrounded everything so that you wouldn't have to worry about a single tree on the islands and all the areas that serves, then if something goes out, you can fix that at the substation and get 18,000 people back online with one repair. I think the example I'd like to show is that after Hurricane Irma came through, we lost power in some areas of our island for a week, 8 days. A week and a half, 8 days after the storm went through, I never lost power. A mile and a half from my house, I had a little island of 80 some odd homes where 60 of them had no power 8 days later. And I saw the crews out there with trees, that had ripped down lines and stuff like that. So if that had been undergrounding, they would have been better off. And so I think you work your way back to where you get as big a piece as possible tied to one line, that if it does go, you get them back real fast because you fix that one line. But people look at, the technology you're putting in this is great, but they don't see that. They just see the lights going out. So.
Well, that's one thing, obviously in this business, and you deal with it with the services that you provide. It doesn't make any difference if you're 99.9% reliable, that 1/100% there, people aren't going to like it. And it's one of those things where obviously, the important story for us to be able to tell is that, we are making significant improvements. There's all kinds of measures that it's called SAIDI, KD, that determines, how long an average customer is out. With all the technology that we are deploying, we're saving literally hundreds of thousands, if not into the millions of minutes of interruption time already. With these particular programs, those numbers will only continue to grow so that our services are more reliable consistently. I mean, there's obviously always going to be car hit pole situations, storm situations, et cetera. But the technology that we're putting in place today will make those outages quicker for most people, those that are right there like today, if a car hits a pole, anything downstream with that has not been improved through smart grid technology is out. The good news is probably 70+% of Pinellas County, is that a fair, accurate statement?
I couldn't speak for Pinellas. 50% of our entire
Your
system
is so we've been putting the self-healing technology in for a number of years, and so it's certainly working. Hurricane Irma was certainly not our best performance. I think we all know that. And so, the good news is we've had several storms in other parts of Florida where we have done significantly better since that time. I would certainly expect that if we had a Hurricane Irma situation happen here again. But
I hope you learn those lessons up in the Panhandle, not around here.
that's where we're learning these lessons. So,
any other comments, questions? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Who, let's see, I've got on here an introduction of Corey McMaster. Oh,
I sent a message late last night. Corey was unable to make it today. So I appreciate that. Corey is our new director for the Pinellas County Sbdc.
Come up. Yeah, come on up.
right, would you come on up here where you.
So I'm Deborah Smykowski from the Florida Sbdc at Pinellas County Economic Development. We have a new director for the Pinellas County Sbdc Small Business Development Center. I was hoping he was able to come today. Unfortunately, he was not. He just wanted to meet the members and some of our small businesses. So hopefully we can do this at another date. But I'm a business development manager. Just wanted to let everybody know that we are always here to help our small businesses and our small business community. So if there's anything that you guys need or any small business owners that are having any issues, looking to grow, expand, need assistance with capital access, no doubt I am here to help them.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you
time.
very much. Okay, seeing nothing under old business, let's move on to our discussion item. Mayor Will, would you like to give us an overview of what's going on?
Yes, sir. Well, I was inspired by Mayor Cookie and Mayor Dave Gaddis. They have put together letters regarding situations that concern all of the beach communities. So I thought I'd give it a shot. This letter here deals with the erosion of home rule. So our representatives are in session right now. So I'd like to send them a letter just to remind them the importance of home rule, and also to point out, as you see in the letter, that the Florida Constitution provides that municipalities will have governmental powers, and that our legislative bodies are elected by our residents. So local governments should have the ability to and authority to address local issues locally. So I was wondering if we could all, or if anybody had any response to this letter. The gist of it is to present this as a unified body. Hopefully it'll have a little more teeth that way.
Dave, do you have any idea when the next meeting is that we could actually speak at? Because my experience is that, and we all, like we did write the letters in good faith and everything, and I think Mayor Queen will go with me on this, is that our better piece is, as much as I hate to go up there, I really think that, whether we win or lose, that, my father always said, you need to do that. And I don't know if there is an opportunity for a few of us to just, go up there and bite the bullet and speak in front of them again.
Well, I'd like the opportunity to be able to go there in person.
I don't
yes.
know. I can ask our city attorney and our city manager to find out the next time they're going to be an opportunity for the audience to speak. Tyler, I don't know. Did you know anything about it? You guys? Wait.
I was just gonna say that that's largely what Suncoast League of Cities does. I know a lot of your towns are members of Suncoast League of Cities. We have a travel program that sends people up to Tallahassee every week and we schedule meetings with the legislators. So I agree. I think that's letters are nice, but they often fall on deaf ears because it's just another letter, another email that falls into the stack of everything that they receive. But the Suncoast League of Cities has funding from the Florida League of Cities that pays for travel expenses to go up to Tallahassee to do that every week during session. So just a perk of your membership. You don't have to be the representative on the Suncoast League of Cities to take advantage of that. Any member of the commission or council can.
I still
can
think you
do
should
that.
write the letter, though. I'm not trying to say that. I don't think it's, I think you should still write the letter, but, and if, a city will help us if we, need to go up there. But maybe we should have some kind of correspondence and find out if there's a specific date coming up that some of us should just go up there and speak.
It may
Yeah.
be something good to also just have one representative from our group speak at the next delegation meeting that's here locally. I mean, they do a delegation meeting every year, a couple times a year. That would be a good time where anyone can get up and speak to
Oh, I
all
know,
of
but
them
I
in the
think the
same
next
room.
one will probably be after.
Sessions.
I mean, we need,
Right.
before they, do whatever they're going to do.
Well, I was going to say I think the letter's well-written. I think it's great. And I have no problem signing it, sending it and everything else. But I also think in person is best, as was said. But, and whoever the in-person is or the people that are, drop another copy of the letter on them when you're there. But I'm wondering if we shouldn't identify specifically in the letter a couple examples that are on this year's, in front of the legislature this year that are, that speak to what this letter means. If we can identify a couple pieces of it and say, for example, this bill and this bill are eroding away home rule. And I think to identify those in the letter would be a good thing.
Well, I believe they know what we mean when we say home rule. And I definitely believe in exploring any and all options. But signing this letter today, we could send it out today and also be up there, next week. Session ends, I believe, on the 11th of March. So sooner rather than later.
There's several things that are getting voted on, I believe, this week that that we were concerned about. But what do we got for right now, Hoyt, for bills that are going through this session that are?
Top of my head, I'm not,
Yeah,
there's
don't
so many, I
recall
mean, that's one of the things that frustrates me about Tallahassee. It's kind of like, to me, a productive session of the legislature is when not a lot of stuff gets passed and changed. But legislators themselves have to come back and say, well, I got this bill, and this bill passed. And all it does is, make the book this much thicker. And but off the top of my head, I mean, I
Senate
don't
Bill
have-
620 is the one that's going to really hurt you.
You're right.
Yeah, that's the one about the business,
yeah.
economic effect on businesses
That's
of
it.
any
Yeah.
ordinance.
That's it.
So,
I agree with your point about putting something in here specific.
we can identify that specific bill, say this is one, for example, that is,
Yeah. Well, I agree with Mayor Kennedy that we ought to send a letter as well and plan a trip for at least a delegation from.
Just an overall comment. I would agree with you. Send the letters, do the in-person meetings, do whatever you can. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're going to do what they want to do, period. But we need to keep harping at them. We can't
No,
back off of it.
exactly.
Right.
But they damn sure don't represent the people.
No. And you know what the problem with that is? They're removed from the citizens. So they don't, I was with one of them the other night. And basically, I don't even know if the citizens knew who he was. So, I mean, they're so far removed from the citizens that it's actually ridiculous. And that's why, the citizens want to know why we aren't doing something to stop, the VRBOs, whatever.
Perfect example is going to be Dave Will's doing a referendum in his town on the short-term rentals. I can't wait to see where that comes back. And then you can send that to those people and say, hey, this is what the people think.
Well, that's the purpose of it, actually, to have that and say, listen, our citizens, and we feel that it is going to pass. So to show them, hey, we had a referendum, our citizens feel very strongly that we do not want short-term rental.
Well, educate us as to what the referendum,
Well,
what is the question?
we've always had an amendment or an ordinance prohibiting short-term rentals. We've been in legal battles ever since we've ever heard of Airbnb.
Right.
It was recently declared that our ordinance needs a referendum to support it. So we have, the town has appealed that decision, but in the meantime, we're having the referendum anyway.
Is that going to happen in this upcoming election?
Yes, on the
Matt?
15th. Yes,
Okay.
on the 15th.
No,
So
and
we'll be
that's
able to hear.
because I had heard you lost your grandfathering because of some glitch in changing.
No, we've been fighting that ever since. So we haven't lost anything.
Okay.
But it's been determined there's no teeth to it. So this referendum is to back that up, if it's even needed. If we win in our appeal, then we'll be all right.
Okay. Now, what's the minimum there then? Do you have a
There's-
minimum rental?
No, we don't. We're not acknowledging rentals at all. So there's no minimum rentals.
Okay.
It's no short-term rentals. I don't want to open up that window of whatever, 2 weeks or whatever. Our residents don't want them, and they're coming out very strongly about it.
Yeah, it was, I think, 18 or 20 years ago, we instituted a 30-day minimum for residential rentals. And people gave us hell for it. And it turns out that what we did was we had a no minimum. I think it was 6 months or something like that beforehand, and they dropped it to 30 days. And now we've been fighting to keep it ever since.
You're lucky you didn't do it after 2014, because then you would have lost yours.
I know. Well, I think it was 2011 was when they said we couldn't limit them anymore.
Yeah, they didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You have a
But
question?
anyway, yes.
Short-term rentals are mentioned in here. And also is the bills you were talking about, 620, about local cities incurring the cost of doing these studies and then open to lawsuits. So that's mentioned in the last paragraph.
I hear that bill has been modified so that we can get reimbursed for our expenses if somebody sues us based on that too.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard there's been an amendment put in there.
The part that they need to amend is the fact that they're the ones that are dictating a lot of the changes that we have to do.
Right,
And those need to be eliminated.
right.
We shouldn't have to go through all these studies because of something that they're mandating.
I agree.
Exactly. Well, that's why this is a reminder of that.
Well, and then I guess, so I would suggest that we go in, I'd love to see us specifically reference Senate Bill 620 in the body of this letter. And I'd also, have you change the signature page, which I got it on one page here, but and put the titles for all of us underneath.
Well,
things,
right.
Then we can
That's
sign it.
That's just housekeeping, right? But
Yeah,
you
yeah.
agree with the meat of the letter.
I mean,
yes.
I'd be willing, under that basis, I'd be willing to sign what we have. I don't know about anybody else. I'm sorry.
A quick question.
What, can,
You said a couple of times they deemed it, like who did,
The court, a judge,
and how did that get there?
because we were citing people for doing short-term rentals, and then they're suing us back to fight the validity of the ordinance.
so,
No whispering.
That's
Yeah.
right.
it's her fault. I'll blame it on her anyway. Okay. Can we
Just
get-
one comment.
Yes.
Have we considered, or maybe you already have, and I just don't know this, a lobbyist? You need to send somebody up there to that playground that knows the rules. And if you want to get something done, I think if everyone pulls in on it and gets a lobbyist up there, that may be a better way to do it than.
That's why we
That's what the
elected those
Florida
people,
League
so
of
we wouldn't have to
Cities
pay for a
does.
lobbyist.
I
That's
mean-
what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, the Florida League of Cities has a lobbyist that represents the cities, and they're on the same page with us. My only problem with that is I think that they should actually have a separate lobbyist for small cities. Not just one for everyone, they have like for big cities, everybody. I just think they should have a separate one for small cities.
Florida
but
League of Cities?
Yeah,
we do have a lobbyist, so.
in your community.
Yeah.
We have lobbyists. I believe
believe we
Madeira
do,
Beach
yeah.
uses the same lobbyists we use.
Right. I mean, that's,
Well,
And
I'd
that-
like to
yeah.
see us
Be my-
amend this letter, then we'll get it all signed and get it in in the mail.
If
And
you make the changes that you would like, and then we'll pass it around.
I guess.
Can we do a final approval via email?
Yeah,
once
we
it's
can do that.
Edited.
Yeah, and then we'll go ahead and I'll have our
Beautiful.
clerk's office change it. And send it around, everybody agrees with it, then we just got to go around getting signatures. And I'm sure we could do that in a day.
Okay, yeah, because sooner the better, like I say.
Yeah, I
session
know,
is
let's
gonna
get it,
end,
get
so.
it in the mail. In the meantime, those of us that have lobbyists we can talk to,
Hmm.
I got ours on speed dial, I think. But,
Yeah, same. And it really is important for all of us to, I mean, it is very powerful to go to Tallahassee in the eyes of those legislators. I know a lot of them, especially on one side of the aisle, don't often listen on the home rule issue, but it's also, we've kind of beaten ourselves up by hammering the home, particularly calling it home rule. Like a lot of them just roll their eyes, like they're tired of hearing about home rule. So I think that's something that at the Suncoast League of Cities, we've tried to change our tune a little bit, be a little bit more supportive of certain bills that they are working on that we can help them that are beneficial to the cities, and not just constantly hound them on, oh, you're eroding home rule. So having that relationship with them helps when it is time to go to them and say, I don't like this bill, when you have a good relationship with them. I know Representative Diamond just texted me and he said he just texted Cookie as well. A very good example of working with them. And I know he's on kind of the side of helping preserve home rule for us, but he is able to file 4 amendments to HB 569, which is the bad preemption bill.
I'll see, I'll
So
ask him if
it's
we
just a
can
good
go up
example of
there and
they-
if he can set up some stuff. And also, I know that actually Senator Brandis and Daryl Roussan did not vote for it. I know that both of them did not vote for it, so
which
I-
are you talking about, 620?
yeah. So I'll get in touch with them and see if they can set up some things. If we have to go up there, I hate to go up there.
I know, it's a long drive.
I'm not driving. Anyway, peace out.
Okay.
Now, I guess next week's the mayor's, excuse me, still recovering. Oh, we have a mayor's council meeting.
Right.
And Florida League took over a lot of the administrative functions for mayor's council. And at those meetings, they have a legislative update and a resource there from the Florida League that deals specifically with these legislative issues. Perhaps when we go there this Wednesday, we talk to them about perhaps providing that resource for us at our meetings. So we've got somebody that's connected to the Florida League and all of their databases and information sources. I think that's probably a good idea. I don't know how the rest of you folks feel about it.
Bill, I think you should go too, because I like when you were there. I feel stronger.
Which one? The mayor's council? That.
I mean, they don't mess with me when Bill's with me. I'm just telling.
Florida League
Got a gun.
Florida League of
They
Cities
don't
does need
mess
to
with
come
me.
here. We need to invite them here.
Yeah.
Sure.
The whole league?
No, just to get a representative to come in here and talk about these issues.
Yeah, they would
Because
On
they'll
a
have the whole
regular
li-
basis. On a regular basis.
Okay.
So what, I was actually up there last week and I think one of the problems is that you can speak to your representatives, but your representatives may not necessarily be on that particular committee. And that's where
Right.
whoever's voting at the end of the day, they're listening to their committees. And I think you pretty much have to know everybody that's on that committee. And if you don't know them, then you need to find people from their particular localities to come in and petition their representatives. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything done. Once it goes through these committees and it makes it to the House or the Senate, they're just going to, whatever the committee says. They're not, unless it's their particular bill they're worried about, they're just going to vote the way the committee recommends. I think the Florida League of Cities is doing a great job, but I don't think that they have enough municipal participation. And it has to happen from all over the state to stop this from happening.
Okay, we'll start with getting the letter changed,
Mhm.
get it around for signatures and proceed from there. But I will talk to our lobbyist for certain and see if what he recommends, but we'll go from, okay, any of the comments?
I
questions?
just want a
Yes, ma'am.
totally different thing. I just want to mention Forward Pinellas. We are going to start going around to cities that would like us to come in. We're trying to have a more understanding with citizens as well as elected officials of all of the opportunities that we have for cities. A perfect example is Mayor Serrano and his sidewalks and getting them on the schedule that we have for the next 5 years. And, you know, crosswalk, safety, anything that might involve your city. We deal with FDOT. And Tina will be calling you our administrative assistant because that's kind of, as a chair, they asked what I feel that we need at Fort Pinellas. And I really believe that we need to show the future and what we're doing in this county, especially the beaches, because we're so important to the overall economic situation and also to the residents and to our visitors. So if you would like us to come, Whit and I, very short, we're only going to do about 15 minutes, but just to give you an update and tell you some of the things, we have grants for the communities. And if you would like to, Tina will be reaching out if she hasn't already to set up a meeting, but if you would like a meeting, you know, definitely you can either tell me or reach out to Tina at Ford Pinellas.
Thank you. Okay, let's continue on then. Legislative, we got any representatives here from,
They're all in Tallahassee.
they're all in Tallahassee. I think.
There
All
are
of us in
there are a couple important updates. One on sovereign immunity. I'm not sure if everyone got that legislative update from the
Yeah.
Florida League this morning.
No.
Senator Hudson has filed an amendment to the sovereign immunity bill, which was going to raise the sovereign immunity limits from 200,000 per person and 300,000 per incident. The original bill was going to raise that to $1 million and $3 million. The amendment that Senator Hudson, which he's a influential senator on the Republican side, so I believe that this one really has some potential to be no changes to the statutory limits for cities with population less than 50,000 residents. So that applies to probably most of us. Not sure about Clearwater, but
That
sorry.
wouldn't apply to us.
But it still does, it limits it for 50,000 to 250,000 to 300 and 400,000. So still much better than what it was. So they're
Million
tying it to the population. So this is a really good example of I was in Tallahassee with the Florida League of Cities a couple weeks ago for legislative days, and they had hundreds of commissioners and mayors in Tallahassee talking to legislators as this bill was moving through. And we all expressed to all of our we all were broken up into regional leagues, talking to our own representatives. And we were all complaining about how crazy this was to put all cities in the same bucket. That was the biggest thing that we were advocating for because it was very timely at the time. So it does work. Going to Tallahassee and talking to them and to your representative does work. And like you said, Dave, get other people to talk to their representatives. So if this amendment goes through, that's really, really good news for cities our size.
All right, thank you. We have a public comment section. I think Eric Lynn is here. Well, speak to us. Come on.
Good morning, mayors and city staff and community. I want to thank you for welcoming me here today. I just wanted to introduce myself to those of you that I don't know and many longtime friends that I see up on the dais as well as behind me. Won't take too long of your time during this public comment section, but my name is Eric Lynn. I'm a native of Pinellas County. A proud graduate of St. Petersburg High School, and I am now running as a candidate for Congress to fill the seat that Congressman Charlie Crist is vacating. I appreciate Charlie reaching out to me when he decided to run for governor. I will share with you that this is a partisan race, but my experience is that I worked as a senior advisor to the President of the United States, as well as a senior advisor to the Secretary of Defense for 6 years. I now am in the private sector doing consulting work connected to MacDill Air Force Base and Central Command and Special Operations Command.
Excuse me, Mr. President, this meeting here is not for somebody to come in here and talk about running for office. We've never done that in the past. We've never allowed that. If Eric's got something he wants to talk about, something else, but if he's talking about running for an office here, this isn't the format for that.
Yeah, I agree.
I respect that. I respect
Okay.
that. I'll just share with you the point I wanted to make, which is you are all in nonpartisan races. And what I want to say is, even though this is a partisan race, I look forward to working with each and every one of you on a nonpartisan basis and following in the legacy of Congressman Bill Young and Congressman Chris. So thank you for the opportunity. Sorry if this violated your rules. Look forward to speaking with you offline. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments? Come on up to the dais.
Good morning, Mayors. I just wanted to say hello and introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Eddy. I am the new Ashley. I am Commissioner Peters' new aide. She wants to send her apologies for not being here for the last several years, but her PSTA board meeting conflicts with this time. But she does want you all to know personally that the beaches are very important to her, and I will be here for the rest of your meetings. And it was a very important thing that she wanted me to do. So if you need anything, I've got my email address. It's on the sign-in sheet, and I look forward to speaking with you. If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out and contact
What was
me.
your name again?
My name is Nicholas Eddy. Correct.
We wanted to say thank you to Kathleen for taking care of the derelict boat situation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That was
Yep.
huge.
Yes,
Thank you for
yes,
that.
thank you. Yeah, she worked really hard on that. So did Rep. Cheney and the sheriff as well.
Been a
So
problem for a
that's just the
long
start.
time.
So there's gonna be a lot more coming. So thank you very much. It's nice
Okay.
meeting you all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Good morning. Again, my name is Lindsay Flynn. I'm the manager of the Sea Turtle Conservation Program at Clearwater Marine Aquarium. I just wanted to put it on the council members' radar that the sea turtle nesting season is coming up. Clearwater Marine Aquarium provides nest monitoring services for nearly every barrier island municipality with the exception of St. Pete Beach. But we'd love an opportunity to speak to the council about the sea turtle nesting season and how artificial light can affect the sea turtle nesting season. We also worked in collaboration with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission on a sea turtle research project last season, and how artificial light can affect hatchling movement to the water. So we'd love an opportunity to provide those results to the council members. So hopefully, if you're interested in that, I'd love to get with Ariana about getting on the docket for a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you're, in St. Pete Beach, it's turtle trackers that do all that for us. Okay, that's what I thought. Anybody else? Okay, city events. Why don't we stop down there with Mayor Quinn? Yes?
Got the election coming up. I'm 22 days and counting till my public service career will be over. So I'm term limited and
Oh, wow.
I'll be signing off.
Really? 22, okay, so you're gonna miss the next meeting?
I'll be at the next meeting because the with the date of the election and everything else, the newly elected people will not be taking office officially until, we won't officially have our new board appointments for the council until the first meeting in April. So I will be here next month representing Clearwater.
Okay, so we're gonna have balloons and cake and stuff like that? or-
No, no need for that. As my wife says, it's just another line on the obituary.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Jeez.
She is something else, I'll tell you.
Oh, my God, that hurts.
Okay.
Okay.
The
Vice
same for
Mayor.
Bel Air Beach, March 15th, municipal election, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Good luck.
Indian Shores, if you got nothing to do on a Sunday morning, we have a great Sunday morning market right in front of Town Hall. You're all welcome. A lot of really good stuff. Anyway, thank you.
Quiet. We did not have an election. We were all sworn in on March 29th.
Nobody wanted your job.
No, they didn't qualify.
I got stuck on there. Happy?
Madeira Beach is celebrating its 75 years in existence, doing events all year long. And the next one coming up is the Great American Grunt Hunt. This is the 11th year we've had it, fishing tournament, of course, for Madeira Beach. And that's March 12th, right here at our marina. And we're also having an election on the 15th. So exciting times.
Okay, thank you.
In Reddington Beach, we have our referendum regarding short-term rentals on March 15th. Otherwise, everything is well in town.
No major events in Treasure Island come out.
All quiet in Reddington Shores.
Much like my compatriots down there, we have the Sunday market that goes on Corey Avenue every Sunday and an art mart down in Pasadena on Saturdays. The only other thing going on is that this Friday night, we've got, I think it's a U2 tribute band playing in Horan Park. We've done a spring concert series. So that's pretty much all that's going on. So that being said, I move we adjourn.
Thank you.
Hey.